Hey guys, welcome back to the Sal Pitera channel, and today we're going to attempt to tell you a little bit about ship's time as opposed to local time and how you can make sure that you never miss the ship when getting back on board. And we'll be back to talk about it right after this. Hey guys, thanks for staying through the intro, and tonight we're in beautiful Aruba and we're about 45 minutes from the Carnival Sunshine leaving port. And how we know it's 45 minutes is because we are on ship's time, which is different than local time. So today we're going to attempt to explain to you how you'll know the difference. Now, before I go on, let me say that this applies to most cruise lines, in most ports, most of the time. So always check with your cruise ship to make sure it applies. Now, the ways to do that is, first, you can check with guest services on your ship, or secondly, as you're going down the gangway when you're getting off the ship, there's almost always a sign there that will tell you what local time is, as well as what time you need to be back on board. Now, let's talk about that, because ship's time many times is different than local time. And how you'll know the difference is usually based upon where you boarded your ship. For instance, we boarded the Carnival Sunshine a couple days ago in Port Canaveral, Florida, which is Eastern Standard Time. Now, we're in Aruba right now, which is an hour forward ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So while it says it's 9:30 now on the clock here in Aruba, ship's time is actually 8:30. So we always have to make sure that we're on the ship's time. Now, here in Aruba, that's actually a good thing, because if we went by Aruba time, we would actually be back on the ship an hour early. But there's going to be many cases where ship's time will be behind the local time. So for instance, it could say it's 6:30 p.m. in your local time on your cell phone, which automatically updates. In reality, it could be an hour later ship's time, and if you get back to the port at the time it says, you'll actually be an hour late, and you'll be waving goodbye to everybody because they'll be long out at sea ahead of you. And we want to make sure that never happens to you. So there's a couple ways you can do that. First, if you set your watch, if you travel to the ship from another time zone, when you get on port, set your watch to the current local time that you board by. That will almost always stay the ship's time throughout the entire duration of your voyage. Again, not always, so make sure you check with the ship, because they may end up going with a different time for ship's time. The other thing you can do is set your cell phone so it doesn't automatically update time zones based upon the location that you're in. You'll find that in your phone settings. You can usually set it for a specific city in a specific time zone. That way your phone will always stay on ship's time while you're out in port. So I hope I made this a little more clear for you. Again, I can't stress enough, always check on the gangway. Ask the security personnel as you're on your way out in the port what ship's time is and what time you have to be back on board. Now, just as a side note, I always recommend getting back on board an hour prior to the departure of the ship. And the reason why is quite simple. You could be out enjoying the local community, your cab could break down, there could be a delay in traffic for whatever reason. If you plan for last minute to get back on board the cruise ship, I promise you it can only end in disaster. Even if it only ends in disaster 1% of the time, you don't want to take the chance that that 1% is you. So make sure you're back on board at least an hour early, and you'll always be safe. So I hope that cleared up for you what local time is as opposed to ship time and back on board time. And I'll see you on board your next cruise.